Chapter 21. Sleeping while holding my ex's brother's hand. Mr. Quinn, why didn't you wake me when we got home? Ava drowsily opened her eyes, mumbling toward the front seat. Miss Hart, we haven't arrived at your house. The unfamiliar male voice brought back some clarity to Ava's confused thoughts. She opened her eyes in bewilderment, her misty gaze meeting a pair of deep, dark eyes directly. You look so familiar. Ava swayed as she straightened herself up. She tried to find information about this face in her brain, but after a long time, she still couldn't remember who this person was. I'm Ian's brother. The man turned back to look at the drunk girl in the back seat, a hint of faint irritation flashing in his eyes. He disliked drunk people most of all, whether male or female, and yet Ava had gotten into the wrong car. Ian's brother? Ava patted her head and finally found memories of Samuel Reed in her brain. You're that Samuel who likes men and dislikes women. No wonder he spoke so harshly to her. Likes men? Dislikes women? Samuel frowned, confusion coloring his features. Who told you that? Though his voice wasn't quiet, Ava didn't hear him at all. She spoke to herself. Take me home. She mumbled an address and continued sleeping with her cheek pillowed on the back of her hand. Samuel, thinking of his brother's worthless behavior, he still started the car. The car drove out of his parking garage, turned right into the main traffic lane. Half an hour later, the car stopped in front of a villa. Samuel unbuckled his seatbelt and got out of the car. He knocked on the window. The girl in the back seat was sleeping soundly. He knocked several times in succession, to no avail. Samuel put one hand on his hip, mild impatience creeping into his expression. Women were such trouble. Left with no choice, he could only open the back door. Miss Hart, we've arrived at your house. He bent down, looking at Ava inside the car, calling several times in succession, still getting no response. Miss Hart? Samuel tentatively reached out and patted Ava's hand. The person inside the car whimpered and moved. Samuel breathed a sigh of relief. Just as he was about to withdraw his hand, it went soft. And before he could react, his large hand was already being held and embraced by two soft hands. Samuel's pupils suddenly contracted. He tried to pull his hand back with some force, but Ava was holding too tightly and touched somewhere she shouldn't have. Instantly, Samuel's ear tips turned a suspicious red. He stood frozen in place, his whole body rigid. The night breeze blew gently, carrying a faint restlessness in the air. Outside the tall villa's iron gate, a black sedan was parked beside the flower wall under a tree. Pale yellow light spread across the roses covering the wall, casting a long shadow on the flower wall. The man was bent over, with one hand still inside the car. The faint floral fragrance drifted into the car cabin. Ava's lightly closed eyes blinked twice with effort. She slowly opened her eyes and instinctively looked toward the front seat. Have we arrived? She drowsily saw no one in the front seat, and in her confusion, felt something wasn't quite right about her chest area. She looked down and saw, besides her hands, there was also a man's hand. The alcohol fog in Ava's brain couldn't help but clear somewhat. She suddenly turned her head, making eye contact with Samuel outside the car. Miss Hart, could you let go of me now? Samuel tugged at the corner of his mouth. She looked soft and weak, yet had the strength of an ox. Sorry. Ava awkwardly withdrew her hands. By the streetlight outside the car, she saw the long bloody scratch on the back of Samuel's hand. She had scratched him. She had a habit of hugging things while sleeping, but no one had ever dared to take anything from her hands. This was the first time Ava realized she would actually scratch people while asleep. And she had scratched the hand of Samuel, who was gay and disliked women. She thought Samuel must hate her to death now. Though she had a limited charm with men, her charm didn't extend to the gay community after all. She put on an apologetic smile. I'm really sorry, I can't control myself when I'm asleep. Turn off your engine and come to my house. I'll help you apply medicine and bandage it. Ava didn't think Samuel would agree. She thought he would prefer to go to the hospital. What surprised her was that Samuel actually turned off the engine. Isn't Miss Hart going in? Going. This was also her first time interacting with a gay man, and one who disliked women at that. Her usual tactics with the opposite sex were powerless here. For the first time in her life, Ava felt awkward in front of a member of the opposite sex. She led Samuel into the villa. This was something she had bought before returning to the country, originally planning to live here herself after coming back. But then the unexpected happened. Adrian had started dating Grace, so she had only occasionally stayed here during this period. As soon as the villa door opened, 7 pounds immediately rushed over, circling around Ava's feet. When it saw the strange man who had entered with Ava, its happily wagging tail immediately drooped. It pawed at Ava's leg and whimpered softly, as if frightened. 7 pounds! Don't scratch Mommy's dress. Ava looked down and gently tapped 7 pounds on the head. Her dog naturally shared her temperament. Mr. Reed, please keep your shoes on. I don't have men's slippers here. 7 pounds barked once at Samuel as it turned around, then wagged its tail and walked into the living room close to Ava's legs. Samuel raised an eyebrow slightly, then followed them into the house. Mr. Reed, have some water. Ava poured a glass of water for Samuel, then turned to look for the medicine box by the TV cabinet. The girl crouched there, head lowered as she opened the medicine box, revealing a large expanse of delicate, snow-white skin on her back. Samuel's Adam's apple bobbed up and down, and an inexplicable emotion rose from his heart. He struggled to look away. That unfounded impulse made him somewhat incredulous. As others said, he indeed had little interest in women, but he certainly didn't have a preference for men as his brother claimed. He simply felt that compared to women, work suited him better. He had no mind to deal with women. Among those who wanted to curry favor with him and discuss business cooperation, quite a few would send women to him, but he never accepted. First, he feared commercial espionage. Second, he indeed couldn't muster any interest in those women. He never expected that after living for 28 years, the first woman to make him feel impulses would be his brother's ex-girlfriend. This was too absurd. Mr. Reed? Ava called Samuel several times while holding iodine cotton swabs. He never responded, so Ava could only lightly pat his shoulder. Samuel, finally coming back to his senses, looked at Ava with a puzzled expression. The latter raised the cotton swab in her hand. Let me treat your wound. Samuel suppressed the chaotic thoughts in his mind. He hummed softly in acknowledgement. The cushion beside him sank down, and a faint jasmine fragrance entered his nostrils. Samuel suddenly felt his throat was terribly dry. He reached for the water on the table and drained it in one gulp. But this water didn't solve his dryness. Even worse was the woman's hand gripping the back of his hand, soft and boneless like cotton. Samuel never knew a woman's hand could be so soft, as if it would break with just a little force.